Listen carefully. At first, the question sounds absurd. Atoms don't think, they don't feel, they don't know they exist. So why even ask? Because the question isn't whether atoms are self-aware. It's whether awareness begins only after complexity or whether complexity is built from something more fundamental. An atom follows rules. It responds to forces. It interacts, bonds, repels, attracts. Its behavior changes depending on context. This isn't awareness in the human sense. It's responsiveness. But responsiveness is not nothing. Here's the mistake we often make. We assume awareness must look like thought to be real. But thought is a late arrival. Before thought, there is sensation. Before sensation, there is signal. Before signal, there is interaction. So the real question becomes, at what point does interaction become experience? Physics tells us something strange. At the quantum level, particles don't behave like solid objects. They exist as probabilities. They respond differently depending on how they're measured. Observation changes outcomes. This doesn't mean atoms are watching, but it does suggest that reality is relational, not isolated. Nothing exists purely on its own. Everything exists in response. If awareness were something that suddenly appears only in brains, then it would have no roots. It would be an unexplained miracle emerging from matter that supposedly had no inner dimension at all. But in every other domain of nature, complex properties are refinements of simpler ones. Heat comes from motion. Life comes from chemistry. Mind comes from nervous systems. Nothing appears from nothing. So maybe awareness doesn't begin at atoms. But atoms participate in the conditions that allow awareness to exist, not as thoughts, not as feelings, but as structured responsiveness. Atoms don't experience reality, but they make experience possible. This matters because it reframes consciousness. Instead of being an exception in the universe, consciousness becomes a continuation, a gradual intensification of interaction, sensitivity, and organization. Not a sudden break from a dead, blind world. So does awareness exist in atoms? Not as awareness we recognize. But neither is it absent. It exists as potential, not expression. As groundwork, not realization. As the first layer of a process that life later amplifies. And when you see it that way, consciousness stops looking like a miracle that shouldn't exist and starts looking like something the universe has been quietly preparing for all along. If this message resonated with you, stay connected. Subscribe, follow, and share this with someone who needs it.